So may I start?
Yes.
Yes, Akanksha, go ahead.
Okay. So good afternoon to one and all present here from different parts of India. It's a pleasant Sunday and a very good day to enhance our minds and tingle our curious brains. I welcome all of you to Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, WIKI's Rural Tourism Council, Odisha's webinar on Trends and Pathways for Ecotourism Research in India. My name is Akanksha Tripathi, member of Wiki Rural Tourism Council, Odisha, and I'm extremely happy and excited to be present here as a program coordinator for today's webinar. Before we start our program, I would like to thank all of you to be here, to take out time and be here for all of us. And I would like all of you to have a glimpse at our Odisha's council. We are a small but strong group of empowered women from different walks of life in Odisha, with a single motive of working towards the betterment of rural tourism in Odisha and as well as in India. We have Mo Roy, State President, Odisha Rural Tourism Council, Mrs. Ritu Biswas, Vice President, Odisha Rural Tourism Council. This webinar was possible under their guidance. We also have Mrs. Mahikshita Mishra, myself Akanksha Tripathi, Mrs. Shubhra Patnaik, Mrs. Jakulla Krishna Kumari, Ms. Ishika Adukia, Mrs. Sipra Sagarika, Mrs. Aparna Kar. Together, we make the Rural Tourism Council for Odisha. Since the day we have come into being, we have had many online meets where we discussed various agendas, areas where rural tourism can be developed. On the auspicious day of World Tourism Day, Mrs. Mahikshita Mishra and Ms. Mo Roy visited and felicitated our Honorable Minister of Tourism, Culture and Language, Government of Odisha, Shri Jyoti Prakash Panigrahi, and discussed with him our vision for the betterment of rural tourism in Odisha. Due to pandemic, we weren't able to meet physically, but as soon as the cases were down and lockdown was put away, we had a physical meet where the members for the first time met each other and got to know each other and discussed further on the agenda for the council. No, so this is all about our council. We are a young council, and I hope this is our first event that we are organizing, and I hope everybody likes it. So now coming to today's event, I would like to quote Abraham Lincoln, who aptly said, "You can't escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." And I completely agree with this, as in today's world, taking responsibility is the need of the hour. We as human beings tend to forget that our basic needs are dependent on the natural resources provided by the Mother Earth. We are too much invested on the secondary needs that we ignore the atrocities done to the environment by us. But let's not get carried away by the negativity today. As every cloud has a silver lining, researchers and scientists have come up with various concepts for conserving the wildlife and environment sustainably. One such concept is ecotourism, which stands on a similar concept of sustainability. The research world has come a long way since late 20th century on this topic. Changing world, globalization, and path-breaking epiphanies have made it even more feasible for researchers and stakeholders to execute to ecotourism at an extensive manner. We are discovering new places, undiscovered destinations for the world to be awe at. The destinations are not only to be consumed, but making it possible for stakeholders to send out a message of taking responsibility. In other words, responsible tourism. One of the building blocks for ecotourism is responsible tourism. Various travel agents, tour operators are excelling in this field. They are helping the host community flourish without compromising the environmental backdrop or culture of that place, rather making the world witness the actual beauty of that destination. To be honest, India is a land of culture, wildlife, and environmental diversity. It is abundantly blessed with mesmerizing flora and fauna to cherish. Our aim today is to have a fruitful discussion on the new trends and pathways that has come up in India for ecotourism research. Today, we have a diverse panel of eminent dignitaries of the industry who will throw light on the topic, the knowledge and experience they have inculcated over time. We have with us Dr. Sonia Sharma, Associate Professor, SOT SHM, IGNO, Dr. Deepa Prasad Venkataraman, Associate Professor, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Dr. Dharna Shukla, Member, Wiki National Tourism, Rural Tourism Council, Dr. Mr. Abhigyan Talukdar, Founder, Hotelementary.in, Ms. Mo Roy, State President, Wiki Odisha Rural Tourism Council. Let's start with the much awaited webinar. I would now like to call upon Mrs. Ritu Biswas, Vice President, Wiki Odisha Rural Tourism Council, to take over and introduce our first speaker for the day. Ma'am.
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening to all of us. So let me first introduce one of our most eminent speaker, who is member of National Council. She will throw some lights upon the wiki. And so let me first introduce her. Dharna Shukla is a seasoned hotel management and educational professional, holding an experience of 2 decades in hospitality operations, academia, and she is an alumni of IHM Mumbai. Currently, she is an adjunct faculty at IHM Ahmedabad and Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Ms. Shukla also holds an honorary position at National Wiki Rural Tourism Council. She has worked in India and abroad in the hospitality sector with chains like the Park, the Taj, and Coral Hotels. She has also taught hospitality and tourism management at IHM Lucknow, Christ University Bangalore, and was founding faculty and program leader at MIT Dubai. Working in the capacity of a consultant with Aptech, she has reviewed the hospitality and tourism modules at their corporate level. Ms. Shukla has been the convener and a successful webinar host for International Delhi Public School Society, a successful name in the realm of education. She has authored and co-authored research papers and book chapter on rural tourism and sustainable tourism, international journals and books. So we welcome Dr. Shukla. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's for that wonderful introduction, and I'm very glad to be here as part of this. The whole topic of ecotourism, which is becoming extremely important, especially in these pandemic or I would say post-pandemic endemic times. As we all know, ecotourism is that form of tourism which involves responsible travel to natural areas, conserving the natural environment. And let's not forget, it also involves improving the well-being of the local people. So that's something which is very important. We need to keep it in mind. And also it focuses on educating travelers on the local environments and natural surroundings with an eye to ecological conservation. Now, from the rural tourism point of view, it can be a variant of ecotourism as it focuses on actively participating in the rural lifestyle. So many villages around as part of the rural tourism, rurality can facilitate tourism, because we know that many of these villages are very hospitable and eager to welcome and sometimes even host visitors. So ecotourism efforts in India can definitely augment the economic growth even more than the typical tourism. So where regular tourism efforts give a return of about 20% of revenue to local communities, almost all the revenue generated by ecotourism programs goes back to those communities. Many of us who work in that sector will know actually. And as ecotourism involves traveling to locations to enjoy their natural beauty and promote conservation, it also helps to make the local communities economically independent. So this is something that is very, very important, making the local people economically independent, and all the more for the rural areas, the rural people involved. And since tourism is one of the largest economic sectors all over the world, India definitely has a lot of potential to become an ecotourism superpower due to its abundant natural wealth. And there's also great potential to develop ecotourism in India that ensures the socio-economic development of local communities while also conserving the biodiversity. So, but however, I would like to say that the scientific and management focus to develop ecotourism has been very limited in India, with very few researchers on this topic, because that's the topic of today. And so, it can definitely looked as a viable approach towards researching on this topic and making sure that we take ecotourism forward in a big way. So research in India has mostly been focused on biodiversity conservation and as a motivation for ecotourism, and many remain confined on tourists' point of view. So nobody is taking the other stakeholders' point of view, which are the local communities, the tour operators, the travel agents, who can bring tourists to these areas. So nobody has taken their viewpoints in the researches that have been involved. Now, researches which can be done on this topic from my suggestion are, we can do quantification of land use patterns. We can do researches on the habitat degradation, which is happening, various resource uses and vital parameters that are required to measure these. Evaluation and monitoring of measures taken to augment ecotourism also need to be there. Therefore, I would like to say that scientific research that can assist in the formulation of appropriate legislative policies, all stakeholder awareness, and financial investments are definitely essential in this regard. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Those are my viewpoints. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dhara ma'am, for your insight. So now I would like Shubhra to please welcome, please introduce Deepa ma'am.
Thank you, Ritu ma'am. A very good evening, one and all present here in this virtual session. On behalf of Wiki Rural Tourism Odisha Council, it's an immense pleasure and opportunity to introduce about an eminent speaker. I would like to introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. Deepa Prasad Venkataraman. We know she needs no introduction, but some of you watching us for the first time in this virtual platform. Hence, this will be an information to know about her and her work. Dr. Deepa Prasad Venkataraman is working currently as Associate Professor at Savitribai Phule Pune University. Dr. Deepa is a Hotel Management Administ from IHM City, Mumbai. Madam Deepa, a seasoned hospitality professional and educator for the last 25 years. She is a doctorate in management. Madam has started her career with Taj Mahal Hotel, Mumbai. She has won awards for innovation in hospitality sector and honor for her contribution by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. She has published more than 30 research papers in UGC approved journals. She is the member of board studies at Savitribai Phule Pune University for Hospitality Studies. She has close association and wide reach with the global corporate leaders in hospitality sector, retail sector, facility sector, wine industry, and education institutions. Madam has offered consultancy services in restaurant planning and design. She has authored 4 books in food and beverage service and international etiquette. She was invited as a speaker in the Orange City Nagpur Literature Fest 2019 for a session on hospitality and etiquette. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the virtual applause as I invite our guest of honor and eminent speaker, Dr. Deepa Prasad Venkataraman. Ma'am, over to you.
I think I was muted. All right. Thank you so much, Shubhra, for the very, very warm welcome. Wonderful to go after Dharna ma'am and hearing her talk. So a very warm welcome to all the esteemed panel member, to Wiki Rural Tourism Council, Dr. Dharna Shukla, Dr. Sonia Sharma, Akansha Tripathi, Dr. Talukar, and Mau Roy, for and all the wonderful women. So many of them you shared with us. I don't have their names, for the role they are playing in as women in Orissa to contribute to tourism, especially ecotourism and rural tourism. It's fabulous to have heard till now. I'm privileged to be part of this webinar, Trends and Pathway for Ecotourism Research in India. So very specifically, not just ecotourism, but research in India. My talk today will focus on the topic which you've given to me for this webinar, as well as on the role of empowering women in rural tourism and ecotourism. So here I may share some common points which already Dr. Dharna has spoken about, but go a little more detail. Being a teacher in university, we love to talk, and this is something which has been very close in my own way in my journey in the last few years or for the last couple of decades. Yes, going on statistics, India is one of the oldest civilizations, and today tourism has always been one of the largest potential industry before and will be in future too, even in the era which we are living in post-COVID. Globalization, I think, to a little bit giving history, it started on we have to reflect and look at
Sorry, some problem with the audio. It is breaking. I can't hear properly. I don't know if others are facing the same or somebody else's mic is on.
somebody's mic is on, I think. Yeah. I think everyone is muted. Is it my mic or is it my? I don't hear any noise here, but I can hear a disturbance from outside.
Now it's on mute.
Yeah. I'm not on mute. Am I audible?
No, the person whose mic was on is now on mute.
Okay.
You are audible, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't need the presentation yet, but you could keep this on. Yeah, it's nice to see this. So yes, coming back, can I start again? Is that fine, Ritu?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And yes, Mr. Talukar, please let us know again if you're not audible. So my talk for today's webinar is when I go into ecotourism, what is existing and research specifically in India, because I work extensively in research at university level, both in the university, in our state university, as well as outside. Ecotourism is not something which is new to us. And if you look at the globalization of it, has always existed. Let us look at the Greeks when they had imposed their culture centuries back on areas where they colonized. The Romans took it to another level. They've been imposing both the language and customs on people they conquered with their antiquity. We live in a world today extensively throughout the world. We're looking internal. Our focus should be on playing to our strength, and including the tourism sector, where we should look at what has been prevalent travel in India for centuries. Today, tourists are looking beyond the 3 S's for which they were going to the traditional destination. So when we talk about ecotourism, what is it? When I talk about research, someone should, what should be their focus on? It should be on nature tourism, which includes eco, agrotourism, active tourism like adventure, sports, spatial, medical, religious, maybe for artistic reason, architectural, museums, gastronomy, craft, and various others. The important point is in any type of tourism, there must be direct contact with the local community where we are working with. So when we say trends and pathways for ecotourism research in India, there are 3 categories where I feel the repercussions of it or the impact will really assist in a very long way, something which Dharna ma'am also spoke about, is number one, any tourism should be for economic impact. What are the cost and benefit, of whether it's ecotourism or rural tourism? The second is physical impact. How does it impact our spatial as well as environment? Because that is the buzzword for ecotourism. So how does, what environmental alterations will happen today as well as in the future, in a long way to go. So that it's sustainable. And the third, of course, tourism is done by the locals. So social impact changes in the way of life of collective as well as interpersonal level. I think I very simplified these three things in any research must be spoken largely on to have an impact which is long term beneficial. And the women who are a part of this particular sector, when they are doing rural and economic tourism, must look at the impact of all three. When we look at any research, I'll just speak a little bit about it before I just go through, not to make it exhaustive. Is when you're looking at objectives of research, people are going to do research on this. They should look at practices which they'll put in these sectors, which I've spoken about now, and identify exactly where is a gap existing now. I think what this has come important to all of us. I'm sure when you all discuss and get together, COVID has brought in its own beneficial, because people have migrated back from the city to areas they come from. It could be another city, village, or rural area, and they've realized that what they can do in their own area, sustainable for them as well as for the people around us. So the gap on its own has come out in the last 3 years. Important is to take it ahead in a very sustainable or in a structured manner. So if I had to put research schemes on people who can do on above, is what is the potential which exists for both rural and ecotourism, site assessment in that particular, impact assessment on nature in a structured manner, in a very structured manner, identifying what are the practices which exist so that you can coexist with them, and evaluation on various initiative. As a country, we should look at initiative which already exist, the World Bank funded eco development project. We should look at that, because finally it comes back to the microeconomics of it. What is the motivation behind starting existing tourism project? I come back here because I've had a lot of people I know who have gone back, and they don't want to come back to the city for any of it, because they feel they can exist in their own town or village where they come from. Incorporation of tourism, ecotourism principles in assessing. And when you talk about 4 principles, when we assess, we must again look, in sound repetitive, environmental protection in the nature conservation. Otherwise, we are not doing justice to ecotourism if you're not going to conserve what already exists. Do not tread a path if you can't sustain it. Do not dilute it. The community participation, local community participation is an emphasis which we have to lay on when we talk about rural tourism. The socio-economic development, and with women, since you are working so strongly on it, how do we educate and increase the awareness? And all the above factors, I think, has always existed in India for centuries. The role of women in all the above aspects have been so well catalogued. If whoever is presenting, and I've just given, there's no PPT, the PPT just has certain photographs, because I wanted to emphasize the role of women in various states of India. So should I share the slide, or can you just go to the next slide, please? So I wanted to show this on the, I had the benefit of going once to Ladakh and spending some time. The Ladakh nomads for centuries are well known for making the Pashmina wool from the Changspar district, and the wool, even today, the Pashmina is considered one of the best. And when they live over there, because in Ladakh typically they have their seasonal time, and it's a few months where the cold has not set in. They rear the sheep and get the pashmina wool. Um, Tourism in this sector is ecotourism, it is rural tourism. It's also in a large way sustainable and is something which we can look at. So I've just given some examples which easily we don't, they're typical examples anyone can go today to Google research, search and find out. And I thought I must share this. Yes, can you go to the next slide, please? It again, and most of it when you go to these sites are run by the women folks over there. Ecotourism in the Chanspa in Ladakh. It's just not the wool, but in how they get together, live in tents, live in the outdoors. And this has been happening for centuries in India. The second example, which I'll give in the second slide, which again, so this is the north. Can you go to the next slide, please? And I've also emphasized the role of women in it. So this is not everyone knows in Orissa in West Bengal the mangroves. So taken from the south, a Pichavaram mangrove in Tamil Nadu. It's a wonderful site. And ecotourism, or when we visited over there, I'm giving from personal examples, is that we had very basic areas to live in. The only joy was next day going through the mangroves and finding out and raking the whole area. So we could grow it to another level. It's a research area, and how to do it, taking the environmental and the rural community in place. The other picture is just giving a glimpse of, it's a personal picture which I took while going on a small boat in Pichavaram. Yes, can you go to the third slide? And third slide, I think a lot of you all living in the north and Himachal has always been a big place for tourism destination. And I think we have to also look at areas which we don't want to focus on or we don't highlight. Everybody's heard about the Malana cream from the Malana Valley in Kudu district. This year, it has become, the government itself has come out in the annual budget on how to promote this particular leaf, both for making hemp as well as, of course, it's known to make various forms of hash or hashish, which we call. An interesting factor in in using this leaf or the Manala cream is that the hemp has been used for both industrial and agriculture expansion in Himachal for a very, very long time. So because Himachal is a geographical location, their development in the industry has been limited because of the geographical location. So they are looking at it in both of it. Furthermore, when they talk about using this hemp, it's used for various products, which are both for health, medicinal, cottage industry, footwear, ropes, mats, food items, etc. They have the government in Himachal. It is just for students who are going to, or people who are going to do research in ecotourism, that the government themselves realized or is promoting on growth of hemp or the Malala cream in their valley and how they can use for various other purposes. So women, of course, have always contributed largely silently and quietly. I think the focus is coming more on how they can contribute in rural tourism as well as in ecotourism. So I wanted to give this Balana village example just to, there are so many examples. We are geographically blessed in every area in India. So I thought 1, 2, or 3 which are on prime focus. With that, the last slide is just a thank you. So ecotourism, since this particular group is from Orissa, and you're doing such a wonderful job, all the women, you've been speaking about it. Women empowerment, I think always, if I may take the permission of Mr. Talurkar, is always there. It's just that we're focusing on more. So yes, there are various aspects in Orissa which already are working. So kudos to each one of you all. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to talk. I'd like to thank you for the presentation. I think before I conclude, I think the gap areas, I think some of the gap areas have been already mentioned by Shukla ma'am, is I think we need to have a very structured, and if you're working on it in Orissa, you're taking care of the policy in Orissa, please ensure there's a government mechanism and a strategy which ensures eco and rural tourism also mitigates increased local communities. Number two, whatever we do, there must be an equitable distribution of benefit and revenues, because the inequality in the social structure is finally which eats into it. Then quantification of the potential ecological sites which are there, the capacity of it. So we don't grow more than our capacity, and the feasibility for ecotourism. Every area does not have to get into it. So we have to quantify it in a very structured manner. These are the roles which you all can take in. I will share my presentation with Mao after this, because I thank you for you all, because I had the opportunity to read up a lot on it. I also understand and the assessment of attitude and perception of local community. What do they want? And then decide the role to rural or ecotourism should play in that particular area. Implementation of issues such as land price, land acquisition by non-locals, the human migration must be considered. Potential for ecotourism in should be explored also in lesser and unknown areas in rural India, including Orissa. And here is a crux of it, I think. So the public-private partnership or incentives which are private funding for ecotourism, if you as a group can look into it, because that is how we'll help the local community. And whatever starts at a micro or macro level, certification auditing of eco practices, I think goes in a very long way. In conclusion, I'll to say that India has the largest potential of being a competitive ecotourism and rural tourism destination. I think we must lay the emphasis on it, because so that our youth or the next generation does not have to migrate to any other city. That is one. And ensure that we save our natural habitat. Otherwise, it's pointless promoting rural or ecotourism in that particular area. And have additional scientific research to formulation of legislative policy, consumer awareness, and financial investment in this. Is something which I think ma'am also spoke in detail about. And this, I think, will go in a long way to contribute to women empowerment in ecotourism in Orissa and everywhere else. So thank you for the very patient listening. I look forward to hear my other panel speakers on what their outlook is on this particular topic. So thanks so much, and over to you back again. And for giving me the time.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful and informative words for us. Your guidance and encouragement will definitely help many of us in professional field as well as in the personal field. Now I would like to call Ritu Biswas ma'am to introduce Mr. Talukdar sir. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shubhra. So it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome Shri Abhigyan Talukdar. He is a 1981 batch IHM Kolkata pass out, and he did his graduation in science and stint in marketing from IIM Kolkata with a strategic management course from Cornell Nanyang University for hospitality industry. He started his career with Oberoi Group. He has worked in different hotel brands in Delhi, Kolkata, and Kathmandu. Mr. Talukdar was nominated as General Manager of the Year by FHRAI magazine in 1992. Since 2003, Mr. Talukdar was the Vice President for the Crown Hotel in Bhubaneswar. Currently, he owns his own consulting firm, HotelElementary.in, which is based in Bhubaneswar. Sir, we welcome you, and to throw some lights on the topic and encourage us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you. That was a wonderful. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you for the introduction. And please don't go by that picture on my bio. That was a Stone Age picture. Now you know actually how I do look like. Anyway, being the odd man out in the entire panel, literally odd man out in the entire panel, I feel honored WICCI, thank you for inviting me here. Thank you. Thanks, Mo. I was expecting Sahana to be here. I don't know why she is not here. Anyway, as a moderator, I'm really honored. The excellent speaker, excellent, both the panelists, Dr. Shukla and Dr. Venkataraman, elaborated it so well. I don't have, they haven't left any of the point left for me. They've covered the entire gamut of ecotourism. However, having said that, see the ecotourism, where did I put my notes? I just put some notes there. ITES, TIES, I don't know if WICCI Rural Tourism Council, if they are a member of TIES. Mo, you are here. Can you, anybody update me?
So I,
Hello? Mo, I can't hear you.
one sec. Can you hear me, sir? Now?
Yes, now I can.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Sir, exactly, I'm not sure, but since you have put
If
on the
not,
question,
Dr.
I'll
Shahana,
ensure
I
that.
think it would be wonderful if the Rural Tourism Council of WICCI gets affiliation or membership of TIES. TIES is the International Ecotourism Society, which is the largest and the oldest ecotourism organization in the world, formed in 1989-90.
So we are
And
just few months old. So obviously we
yeah,
are not
the process
yet,
has to
but
start
yes,
from now.
yes.
However,
If I may come in here, if I may
Thank you for
add,
your information.
as part of the Wiki Rural Tourism Council's National Council member,
Yeah.
we are looking at signing memorandum of understandings with various other organizations at the moment. The process has just begun. And thank you, Mr. Talukdar. So that's a wonderful suggestion. We will definitely look into, tying up with the International Ecotourism Society. So thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you. And if any other help in that regard or any other resources you require, I am always there to help out.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely
Now,
reach out.
thank you. In TIES 2015 charter, that is the latest charter, the way they have defined ecotourism, they said responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, sustain the well-being of the local people, and involves interpretation and education. Each word of this charter is very relevant to ecotourism. Now, the panelists who have spoke before me as moderator, I am very impressed and excellent speaker. Akanka, while introducing, said a wonderful quote by Abraham Lincoln, responsibility of tomorrow. I like that very much. That whole sentence was there. Now, Abraham Lincoln said that hundreds of years ago, and it is ecotourism, when it comes in context of ecotourism, it is responsibility of today. Unless, and we just had a COP26, COP26, and there the different world leaders have been committing carbon footprints way back in 2050. We will do that. 2070 will come to zero carbon emission and all that. But the way our darling Earth is going, we don't know whether we will survive till 2050 or 2070. So as far as we, the people in tourism sector, we believe this responsibility, responsibility of not tomorrow, responsibility is right now, right here. So Dr. Shukla mentioned economic independence of rural population. It is very, very relevant. The whole ecotourism gamut is circling around the economic of the rural population. Can you give me 1 minute? I'll just get a glass of water. Just give me 1 minute, please.
Sure, sir, it's fine with us.
Apologies, I am back. That happens with the old people. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
You're audible.
Okay. I'm sorry, apologies. Economic independence of rural population, the entire gamut of ecotourism revolves around economic, like every other activities of our life. And when we say ecotourism, it is beyond the traditional ways or traditional destinations we go, and there also their economic independence of that rural population beyond traditional ways means we go back to villages. Now, another point you mentioned, Dr. Shukla, is view of the local community and the stakeholders. In ecotourism, this rural population are the main stakeholders. And very often we forget that point, that what is their view, what is their stake. I mean, how much income is sustainable for them? Do they want, if we are going to put up a resort in a rural area, whether they will like it, whether they say, okay, this will sustain, whether this is feasible for them. We often neglect that point. We often bypass that point. That is a very valid point, Dr. Shukla, you mentioned. What Dr. Venkatraman said, that one point I have noted a few points. Beyond traditional destination. Beyond traditional destination is the key word here. See, when we talk about holidays or vacations, we think of mountain, beaches, deserts, jungles. Now, when ecotourism is in the foray, it has to be beyond these destinations. That's why the ecotourism is the rural, the remote, and non-traditional areas. Another point Dr. Venkatraman mentioned, the COVID, what is the impact of COVID on the pros and cons? COVID have mostly horrible impacts on our industry. But this point I like, that for ecotourism, how it has become beneficial. Being in the hotel industry for decades, post-COVID, when the sector opened, the homestays, the rural tourism, hotels is taking much longer time. But that is the impact of COVID on ecotourism. Now people are still, the fear factor is among us to travel in public transport like flights or trains. We look for driving distance where we can travel in the comfort and safety of our own car. And driving distance is like it has to be in rural village areas where we can go. So this ecotourism had boomed post-COVID heavily, and that is the we can say boon in disgrace, or boon in disguise for ecotourism. COVID has come. You mentioned, Dr. Venkatraman, to educate the guests. Yes, we do training for in our resorts. Sorry, I come from the hotel industry, so all around my speech comes in the industry, on hotel industry or resorts. We do training programs and all that thing about our staff, our management and all that. But we often forget, as when it comes to ecotourism, our guests, the consumer need to be educated. And if a consumer or a guest, when he goes to a city hotel, like a commercial property in a city, he doesn't get much educated. He knows what he expects and what is there. But in ecotourism, the guest needs to be educated. He knows that I cannot carry a plastic bottle there. He knows that I should not expect a 4G connection of my there. So that, like, if I do have a regular basis of 4G connection and there's mobile towers there, like my city, I do not see the sparrows in the cities anymore. In fact, in Bhubaneswar, I hardly see any crows these days. And research has proved that the mobile towers. So these are the education the guest should be given. The Malana village, yes, that rang a bell, Dr. Venkatraman, you mentioned Malana village and the hemp. In fact, one of the MPs from Odisha, he raised a question on the Malana village that hemp cultivation came into the discussion. That MP raised the question in Parliament. It's very relevant. I'm mentioning this since you mentioned Malana village and the hemp cultivation, that when is the hash being legalized in India? That was a question in Parliament. The government hasn't taken a decision, but that's a separate topic to discuss. But that reminded me that Malana village hemp cultivation, I'm very much aware of it. And Ladakh Pashmina, we've been to Ladakh, Leh Ladakh in 2017. 2017. And since we came back, we spent about 2 weeks there. And since we came back, every time I meet anybody, I said, if you are an Indian and if you have not visited Leh Ladakh, you have committed a sin. It is awesome place. I mean, forget Switzerland, Kashmir, or any other areas of the world, unless you go, and awesome people, even awesome people. Yes, Pashmina, we've been to those people, those nomads of Ladakh, those Tikrit village. We went to Tikrit village also. And there, Pashmina, you see, we come from a place, Odisha, where we have 2 seasons, summer and less summer. So practically, we don't need a Pashmina shawl. We can't wear a Pashmina shawl. But it was so great looking and great feel of that Pashmina shawl. We still bought, and it was very, very expensive. Pashmina, original Pashmina is. But still, we bought one just as a souvenir and to kept and to show it off to our guests that this is a Pashmina shawl. Now, excellent speaker, Dr. Shukla, Dr. Venkatraman. I am really grateful that I attended this seminar and I had the opportunity and pleasure to be the moderator so that I could hear all your point, very well researched, well thought of, well moderated deliberations. Now, when in Odisha, I will just give very brief points what we are doing about ecotourism in Odisha. In Odisha, you see, our government is very, very proactive when it comes to tourism. That's the advantage of being a very stable government. By the way, ours is the most stable government in the country today. Our chief minister is running for 25 years, the same chief minister, the same government. Of course, the tourism minister kept changing, tourism secretary kept changing, but that is the advantage. And we are very, very proactive in Odisha as far as tourism is concerned, especially Odisha, I believe, the first state where the ecotourism trust has been given on behalf of the Department of Tourism government, state government side. What the state government Department of Tourism done on ecotourism front are basically on 6 points they gave trust. One is they made it nature-based. When it comes to nature-based, of course, they looked at beyond traditional areas, beyond city limits, yet driving distance. Some are a little far off, but they ensured that the proximity and the relatability by any mode of communication is possible. Second point, they looked after the preservation and conservation. Preservation of that ecosystem where that tourism belt is, and the conservation of the community and the people and the environment. Third point, they did what they did, the education of the community where they plan to put up, make that destination as an eco destination. Fourth was the sustainability. They did a very wide study. If they identified the location and if they are developing that area as a ecotourism destination, whether it is sustainable on a long-term period or not. The weather condition, the villages availability, their crop seasonality, what if can they be involved in that project giving up their traditional farming and all that time span. So that sustainability point was calculated. Then the distribution of benefits, the economics was worked out. The okay, government is putting up, making this a destination for ecotourism. People from other urban areas will be coming, flocking, they will be spending money. Okay, this much money will be collected. This area will be developed, people will put up some small shops, they will sell their own product. So this distribution of benefits to the local community, how viable it is, those are the point was studied. 6th point was ERA, the government call it ERA, ERA we call it, ethics, responsibility and awareness. While doing ecotourism projects and we identified the location in different parts of Odisha. What are the ethical norms the government should put up? Like there are destinations, as you are aware, Odisha has 43 different tribal community. We have the highest number of tribes next to Andaman Nicobar Islands in whole of the country. 43 tribes and their different sects in Odisha, in different, we have a huge tribal belt. There are certain areas where they offer their local made liquor to the guest. And if you do not have it, it's an insult to them. If you do not have it, that is their tribal culture. That if you refuse that alcohol, local made alcohol given offered by them, that's an insult to them. The government has to, and there are also other tribal areas where they are totally non-vegetarian, almost vegan. They are almost what vegetarian? They are almost vegan, non-alcoholic. So those government has to identify, those ethics has to be maintained. Like in these areas, government can't say, okay, there is a eco resort, we can open a bar. No. Those ethics, that is the ethics has to be maintained accordingly. I just give few examples. Now, responsibility. What is government's responsibility as well as the consumer's responsibility? That was identified. Okay, government responsibility is the infrastructure. Government has to, just putting up a eco resort at some remote place won't help. Government has to make how people will go. What they will do there, how they will come back, whether the basic amenities like water, electricity is available or not. Those responsibility was earmarked from the government side. And in different eco retreat, if you visit eco tourism Odisha site, there are do's and don'ts list also given for the consumers. And there is awareness on behalf of the for the community, local community, and also for the consumers, the guests, so those who will be visiting those eco-tourism areas. Now, awareness, before government identified and started this eco-tourism destinations, there were practically classes of the local community through the local panchayats to make these people aware. Basic thing government inculcated in the village panchayat heads that see, because usually in village they are very stubborn, village area people. Any change, whether it is good or bad, first they will resist. So government, what they did, they inculcated that, see, if you do this, you will earn money. You will earn money. First thing they inculcated. Then government ensured that your culture will be kept intact. Your way of life will not be disturbed. And government also controlled the flow of tourists. Control of flow of tourists. I don't know if you have visited Bhutan. I visited Bhutan. Bhutan is the first country in Southeast Asian country which first control the flow. After a certain number of tourist flow, we stop so that the sustainability of the ecology is maintained. The same thing is being tried in Odisha, that in certain areas, government has restricted after a certain number of people, government won't allow. We have glamping eco retreats. First, I think Odisha is the first state which, from the government side, we have started eco retreat. Initially, we started with 2. I'm very sorry, I got a bad throat. Initially, we started with 2 eco retreats. Now, this year we are doing 5 places. First year we did it for 3 months. Now we plan from this year to make it round the year. Starting from 15th of December, you can visit the website, Government of Odisha Tourist website. We call it glamping. It is glamorous camping basically. And it is rightly, as said, it's on PPP mode. I think Dr. Venkatraman mentioned that PPP mode. Yes, most of the eco retreat is on PPP mode in Odisha as well. So this glamping sites are exceedingly popular. Last year it was oversold. Every day 100% occupancy, in spite of being overpriced. So it is a very successful project by Government of Odisha. So that's why this year the plan coming up with 7 sites altogether. 15th December it is starting. Let me end there. My throat not permitting to blabber much. I will end here, and thank you very much. I really appreciate and honored to be here and listen to awesome speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful insight. And with your year of experience, it is really encouraging for us. So over to Akanksha.
Yeah, I think I'll just have a word. Thank you, Mr. Tanukar. We've been to Odisha many times, but after hearing you today, as well as to this webinar, I think that'll be one destination will be on the top of the list to visit immediately, you know. I think I speak for all of us. It sounds wonderful, especially going to the tribal area, etc. But at the same time, without, as you said, keeping all our points in mind, at least enjoy the real rural tourism in its own spirit. So I think Odisha was definitely top on the destination now. Whoever has heard you today. Over to you,
Thank you so
Akanksha.
much. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. I think Dr. Sonia Sharma has come, and we can start with her presentation for today.
Yes, thank you. Am I audible?
I would like to call, yes, ma'am. I would like to call upon Mrs. Ritu Biswas to introduce Dr. Sonia Sharma.
Thank you, Shubhra. Thank you, Akanksha. Welcome, Dr. Sonia. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
So let me introduce you to other speakers also. Dr. Sonia Sharma is an associate professor of School of Tourism and Hospitality Service Management, IGNOU, New Delhi. She is an alumni of Jammu University. She has done Masters in Tourism Management from IGNOU and PhD in Tourism from University of Jammu, and also she is a UGC NET qualifier in tourism. She was director in charge of School of Tourism and Hospitality Services, Sectoral Management, IGNOU from December 2008 to 2012. She has to her credit several research papers published in national and international journals. More than 12 scholars have been awarded PhD under her able guidance, and another 10 researchers are under her supervision. Besides her administration experience spanning over more than a decade, She has been a member of Board of Studies, academic councils, and also served as an expert member of hospitality and tourism related organizations. She has specialized in the field of ecotourism, sustainable tourism, and destination planning. Welcome, Dr. Sonia.
Thank you
Please
so
share
much.
your
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to be with all of you and my fellow colleagues, Dr. Deepa, Dr. Darna ma'am, Dr. Mo, Mr. Talukdar. So you all have discussed like many things already about the ecotourism, and I'm being the last one to say uh, everything is in fact already covered. But still, like I'm from Jammu, I can just give few examples of my state, Jammu and Kashmir, and
We saved the best for the last.
yeah. So like all the major thrust areas of ecotourism and rural tourism, all the things in fact is really very nicely discussed, described by our other fellow colleagues. So I just want to give an example, this ecotourism topic, which is really very nicely discussed today, and the need of the hour is also we have to go for the this rural tourism, ecotourism, or nature-based tourism, these things which we are discussing today. But just to update you, like in 2005, when I was doing my research, my PhD topic was also on ecotourism. So it was planning and promotion of ecotourism, a case study of Jammu region. So that time you can imagine, like it's almost, I think, 15 to 16 years back, it was my research topic. So that time data was not that much available, because being a scholar, and this was really upcoming subject at that time. So I have been to different university libraries. I used to participate in the conferences, like to collect the data on my topic. So this was really a new topic. But today it's really nice, and I'm really happy to hear about ecotourism. Like Talukdar sir just mentioned about this International Ecotourism Society, which is there, which I also mentioned in my thesis. That is an international society, and I really request Vicky chapter in Orissa that you should also be a part of this society, as sir just suggested. And other than that, like just the outcome of my research, that time, like when I've taken the topic of Jammu. Like Jammu was famous for the Vaishno Devi shrine, and many people, many tourists, pilgrims, they used to visit Katra, Vaishno Devi, and people used to think like because Jammu, okay, it's famous for Vaishno Devi. Kashmir, yeah, it's has so many natural beauty, and people used to go to Kashmir. Dal Lake is there, other beautiful like attractions are there, adventure tourism is there. But for Jammu, many people used to think, okay, if we are going to Jammu, that means okay, we have to go and visit the Vaishno Devi. And you know, during the peak season, during the summer break, during the Navratra, so many tourists, so many pilgrims, they used to visit to Vaishno Devi. And especially I have seen people, because we are local of Jammu, we also get the opportunity as and when like we have a long weekend, or as and when we think like in our family, yes, I have, say for example, I cleared my 10th class with very good percentage. Okay, immediately we restoration Devi just to say thanks to goddess. Yes, I'm blessed with your things. So just to share my happiness. So there also, being the local of that area, we used to see long queues, and sometimes people, they used to wait at this Katra, which is a base camp, maybe for days. Like now, if the same day they are not getting the opportunity, especially during the Navratras, they used to wait for next day. Their turn will come, then they will start their yatra. So when I was doing research, this was my suggestion. Like people think Jammu is only famous for Vaishno Devi, or few one like this Patni Top is also there. Few people also know about that, and many people, they think, okay, after visiting Vaishno Devi, they will go to Patni Top or maybe Jammu just for few shopping and dry fruits, then they come back. So in my research at that time, I suggested that we should build a circuit where there are beautiful nature-based destinations, which I suggested as ecotourism destination near Katra. Like people can go to Shiv Khori, people there are this near Patni Top also, there are beautiful like landscapes are there, and there are other small new destinations are there which are really untouched by tourists. Tourists don't know about this destination. So this is how I suggested a circuit that tourists should go to this nearby destination instead of waiting for 2 days to come. Their turn will come so that they can start yatra. We can divert the tourists to nearby destination, which are purely nature-based tourist destinations. And many tourists, outsiders, like from different part of country, they don't even know about these destinations because these are not properly marketed and people are not aware of that. So same way, like we were just discussing about the Orissa and maybe other part of the country, like Madam Dr. Deepa just told us about this Ladakh, which is really a beautiful destination, especially for ecotourism. And I also know one this women group over there. That group they are working together and they're running homestays in Ladakh. And this homestay, when they started with just 4 number, like only 4 tourists came to their homestay, but now they're earning like anything. Like their homestays, they are running very well. They are earning around 30,000 a month. Like so many women are like working together because their husbands, mostly they are in army or they're working outside, but this homestay group is run by women solely. So this group, like Wiki Orissa chapter, as you know, are working for women empowerment. So I just quoting that example. So similar examples, similar things we can do in rest other part of the country in different states. Like in Uttarakhand, Uttarakhand is also doing very good about the ecotourism, about the homestays. Similarly, Himachal is doing very well, like Himachal being our neighboring state. So in Manali, there is also a very good example of ecotourism. They are also promoting, and they also identified a few ecotourism circuits, which like tourists, those who are really interested to, for ecotourism, so they can go to these particular places. And then Kerala is also doing very well. And like this, many other states, they are also getting motivated to promote ecotourism. But the concern is like, when we say promoting ecotourism, or equal weightage, or equal we should be sensitive about the natural areas. See, like when I can remember my days when we were when I was young, say I was in class 8 or 10, that time, like our nearby destination like Shimla, it was very famous. Nainital and all, like these were the only nearby destinations where we used to go with our parents that time. And if I go now, say after 30 or 40 years, I can see the changes. Like these areas are overcrowded, and we say that these are mass tourism destinations now. So like if we are promoting ecotourism to natural areas, from now onward we should think about their carrying capacity. We should think about, like, if we are selling few destination as an ecotourism destination, we should think about their like these natural resources should not be exploited like other mass tourism destinations. So we have to educate the tourist. I can just give another example. Before starting this COVID period, 2 years back, I, along with my family, I have been to Goa. So from Goa, we were planning, okay, we have explored like nearby destination. Then we plan to go to Dudhsagar Falls. So when we went there, before entering that main area, they stopped our vehicle. They said, okay, do you have any distillery bottles, anything, plastic bottle or plastic bags? You have to deposit everything before entering that area, then only you can enter the area. So I really like the idea, because when I did my research, this was my outcome, this was my suggestions, that we should not spoil the destination by throwing the plastic bags, these plastic bottles and all. But when they stopped us, they stopped all the vehicles. First they checked each and everything. Okay, we deposited our bottles, everything at them before entering the destination, and then we entered. I really liked it. So this is just example I'm quoting. Similar way, we should educate the tourist if they are going to a destination, because whenever, if we right now I'm in Delhi, when we are living metro cities, at the end of the day, maybe after 3 months, 6 months, when we think, okay, we are exhausted with this metro life, daily office work and all, okay, now we're planning to go out. So immediately we think, okay, we'll go to the mountains, hilly areas, or maybe we may go to beaches. So when we're thinking about these areas, these things really attract us. Okay, we'll go there, we'll spend 3-4 days. So what come in our mind, okay, yes, once we go there, we'll have a peaceful environment, we'll have natural surroundings. So when these things are really attraction for us, so once we visit there, it's our equal responsibility also. We should not exploit this area, we should not throw garbage here and there. We should think about the local population over there. Like Kuldar sir, just now you were explaining about this giving one example of that, your Odisha, like similar way, whenever we are visiting any destination, we should think about the local destination of that area, like whether we are not going to see some many times we are not going to over exploit that area. We should not disturb their culture, and whatever benefit we are not as a tourist, but when we are planning to promote a destination, whatever benefit we are getting out of tourism, we should also think about the local people should get benefit of that. They should get the job opportunities. They should just a second, I think. Yeah, local people should benefit out of that. Local people should be involved in planning and management of that destination. So it's not like only multi-chain hotels, they are getting benefit of it, or many multinational companies which they have invested there, they should get benefit of it. We should think about the local people. As just now a definition of ecotourism, like sir has explained, so we should think of the conservation of the environment. We should think about the local people of that area, and this ecotourism is like other natural tourism. It's we are just appreciating the environment, so that how we can enjoy the environment. We should appreciate it. We should educate the tourist about that area. Like, yeah, we have to appreciate about the nature, but similarly it's our responsibility also. We should not over exploit the area. We should not throw the garbage in that area. So these are the few things which I can just suggest. Like, being a last speaker, there was nothing much to speak. So with these words, I will just end my discussion here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia. It's a pleasure to have you here. And now upon to Akanksha.
So it was a very, I can say, very eye-opening session. And it was a very, when I started, I had in mind that we will have a fruitful discussion. I think the discussion was absolutely fruitful. I am a research scholar, and I have gotten noted down a lot of ideas that I can inculcate in my thesis or my papers or my research. Uh, just to add on some points here, I have worked for a year in a hotel industry in a resort property in Mussoorie, Sterling Resort. So there, I just wanted to share a few points that we can say. Tourism, we are right now studying as a subject, but I believe tourism should be a medium of study, medium of learning. It should not be a topic to study. Tourism should be a medium to learn different things, learn about everything in the world, basically. So how do you learn? We learn by experiencing that thing. So when I was working in that resort, I was in the holiday activities department. So we used to basically design or manage the what you call the experience of the guest. We were not in the core departments, not in the operational departments. So we used to plan their stay, their entertainment for the whole stay. So we used to take them for bird watching, for a trekking, for a picnic. Used to teach students about the local community, about the local farming, about we used to have a session, as Talukdar sir said about sparrows. We had an initiative in that hotel to save the sparrow campaign. So I have taken sessions for the guests, teaching them about the sparrows are getting extinct. We used to teach children about the extinction of sparrows. So if you see that the local community or the hotels are taking initiative to teach the visitors. It's not only the host community that has to be taught, it is mainly the visitors. And I'm really happy with the session today. And I would like, right now, I would like Ms. Mo Roy to take over and give the vote of thanks. If anybody has any question or wants to put up some point, can come up before Mo ma'am goes for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, I think it was really, I just would like to have a word to say that. Just like Mr. Talukar said, that it's been learning. It's been wonderful hearing every speaker, and Dr. Sonia Sharma, who's actually is in a role where she can make a difference in her capacity. So it's wonderful to hear, because I think that is important in our country, to be at a place where we can actually make a difference, even though all of us have fantastic ideas. I think the Orissa chapter, and big kudos to all of them. They've learned from the whole national chapter to take such an initiative even in Orissa, because we know that there is so much opportunity. So hearing everybody speak from real-time experience, I've thoroughly enjoyed so much to learn from each one of you all today, and I'm glad that could interact with all the speakers. It gave me an opportunity to meet virtually, at least, each one of you all, and hopefully at some point meet you in person too. So thank you so much. Big learning to be in this platform. Please go forward with it. To see young people like Akansha talk, because this is what we are doing as teachers, trying to teach the coming generation, and not just talk but walk the talk, and I am sure that's what you all are going to do. Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I would like to call upon Ms. Mo Roy to take over and proceed with the vote of thanks. Mo, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, yes. Actually, there were some network issues going on. Is it audible, Akanksha?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible now.
Okay, just a minute. Huh? Okay, is it audible, I believe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, a very good evening to one and all. On behalf of Wiki Orissa Rural Tourism Council, I, Mo Roy, take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the esteemed speakers of today's webinar on trends and pathways for ecotourism research in India for their presence as well as contribution to make this webinar a success on this platform. Now, gratitude is something that we should be able to express on any occasion, like no matter how big or small it is. So my heartful gratitude goes to Dr. Dharna Shukla, national member of Wiki Rural Tourism Council, throwing light on the topic in a very simple, customized manner. Thank you, Dharna madam. It was wonderful. I extend my gratitude to my mentor, Dr. Sonia Sharma, Associate Professor from School of Tourism and Hospitality Services Management, IGNOU, New Delhi, for her presence and sharing her knowledge and experience with us. Especially the doctoral topic of hers was on ecotourism of Jammu. In fact, I have been associated with her so many years, even I didn't know her topic was on ecotourism of Jammu. So it was really very nice of you, madam, to share your research topic in an elaborated manner. In fact, madam had some internet issues, but she managed to be there. So thank you once again to her. Coming to Dr. Deepa Prasad, special thanks to my friend, Dr. Deepa Prasad Venkataraman, Associate Professor from Savitribai Phule Pune University, Pune, for covering the topic so elaborately, citing examples from Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, and focusing on how women should be empowered, especially coming from the rural community, needs to be appreciated. Thank you, Deepa. That was really great listening to you. My gratitude to Mr. Abhigyan Talukdar, a well-known professional personality from the hospitality industry of Orissa, for moderating today's session. Of course, his suggestions that he have shared with us will be implemented We are just a few months old, and our research and policy team, in fact, Dr. Dharna is leading that team. She's working on that particular area. So, in fact, I have been part of many webinars where Mr. Talukdar has been the moderator. So I thought that Mr. Talukdar would be the best person to moderate the show. So, especially throwing light on Odisha's ecotourism status. So thanks to all the speakers for taking out time from the busy schedule and to be present on today's webinar. And of course, when it was a Sunday. And coming to my members are our strength and our resources. So my appreciation goes to all my Odisha Rural Tourism Council members, impressive one. So thanks to Ritu, Shubhra, Krishna, Shipra, Aparna, Ishika, and Akanksha. Thank you, Akanksha and Ritu especially. Of course, to everyone, okay? And all the online viewers, thank you so much. And last but not the least, special thanks to Ms. Sahana Ahmed, National President of Wiki Rural Tourism Council, under whose able leadership, guidance, support, coordination, we were able to successfully organize this event. We appreciate her immense support to organize various events at the national level as well as the state level related to rural tourism. We are just few months old, but she has done really a lot of research work and has given us this opportunity to present, webinars where eminent speakers can come and share their views. So thank you, Sahana Madam. Thanks a lot. I do believe the session has enriched us with knowledge that we need to acquire to understand ecotourism, which is a variant of rural tourism. Big journeys begin with small steps. So that was a small initiative taken by Odisha Rural Tourism Council with an objective of reaching to the rural community of Odisha to boost and build women's entrepreneurship. Thank you to this platform, my speakers, my members, thanks a lot. And wishing everyone a wonderful Sunday. And God bless you all. Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dharna Madam. And Sonia Madam, you could make it. And my dear friend Deepa, thanks a lot to all of you. Thank you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
With this, we end the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and taking our time.
I'm logging off. Thanks so much. Bye. Great job.